Have you guys ever had that feeling that you guys making a project and it doesn't go exactly the way you want it? This was for me in this project. I was gonna make this perfect, beautiful steak knife, but I learned so much. Hi, my name is Simon. I'm 22 years old and I'm making my first ever steak knife. I've only made like 3 or 4 knives before, and I hope you guys enjoy the process with me. So I've begun to make the shape of the knife I wanted. I copied it from one of the knives I had at home because I really liked the shape of it. After this, I used to find a way to stick it to the metal. I use a piece of 1084, 2mm thick. I use super glue. If you have any better way to mount it to the steel, please let me know. I find when I use any other glue, it doesn't really stick as well. As most people already figured out, I'm using the stock removal method. So I start by just cutting out the piece with an angle grinder. After that, just take the belt grinder and grind out the shape. I usually don't follow the guide to a precise measure. I just go by the feel of the knife. Since it's the first time I'm making this knife, I just go ahead and grind it the way I feel like. But as you soon see, that doesn't always go as planned. Here, yeah, one of the tips that I always use. I use the curve of the, I don't know, ball bearing or what you're gonna call that, to get the perfect curve in the steak knife. It gives it such a beautiful and well worked feel for it. Makes it super smooth. And they have the pre-grind. I usually don't add the bevel, so it's just a thin knife before I heat treat it. It's super easy for it to warp if I get the smallest amount wrong. And also before I heat treat it, I like to drill the holes. So I just mark them out, measure, usually put them in the center between everything, and I just drill them out. As I said in the beginning, I'm pretty new to making knives. This is probably my 4th or 5th knife, so I don't really know exactly what I'm doing. But if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe, click the like button, and watch me grow. If you have any tips, any comments, or anything you want me to see here next, please just comment it. I'd love to know what you guys want to see. And now we go to my favorite part, the forge. This is my forge, it's a little piggy, I made it myself. It's a beautiful little forge, it's super hot. It's a bit hard to control with such a small piece of knife, but yeah. Here I'm heating up just a normal piece of steel and I just heating up the oil. I heard that makes a better heat treatment. If you guys know where I can find more information on that, please link it below. And then you just go in with the knife, I just move it a lot while I heat treat it to make sure that it's a good, even heat. And then while the steel is not non-magnetic anymore, by checking it with a magnet, I stick it down in the oil, keep it for about 30-40 seconds, and then I take it out and I straighten it as good as possible. I always find it's a bit wonky, but it's always easier to straighten it afterwards. And this is my favorite part. I always love to see the knife right out of the forge. It makes it feel so much more like a knife. But sadly, every good thing needs to come to an end. I sort of dropped the knife and the tip broke off, but I felt like I didn't want to stop making the knife just because of that. So I just scribed out a new shape on it, and I took it back to the grinder and ground that in. Just make sure that when you have a heat-treated blade and you grind it, to always dunk it a lot more than you would do normally, just to keep it from not de-heat treating to be as hard as it could be. But use a quick time with the grinder and I get a perfect shape. After that, you start making the bevelings. I wish I could tell you how I make my bevels, but I still don't feel like I have it down. So just try it out, find some videos online. I can link some below if you guys want, and do your best. And now it's time for every knife maker's favorite activity: sanding. Don't put too much stress in it, take your time. I took mine up to a finish of 600 grit. I didn't think they needed more than that, but everyone has a different opinion on that. And before I start working on the handle, I take some acetone and I just wipe off the knife. Super simple, and then I put some blue tape on it just to protect the finish. I don't want to work so hard on the sanding just to get it ruined. You want it to look something like this. And I would say that right about here, this project took a downhill turn. But I still felt like I wanted to upload it to you guys, just to have something to show for it. So I just took the knife and I put it on this burl. And it was a beautiful piece of burl, but the piece I cut out wasn't that beautiful. And I learned that you need to stabilize burl. So it's not the most hard material. So I took a lot of color from the metal and it got deformed and de-shaped, and yeah. But I still wanted to finish this project, so just keep on watching to see how it ends. One of the things that didn't really work out the way I wanted to is that all the holes got really crooked. I still use a hand drill. I have a drill press in my wish list, but I just don't have the money for it yet. But like I said, it's always good to practice on your work, and this is my way of practicing. After fitting the handle, I just take it right back to the belt sander to get the rough outline done. After I get it just fitted to the handle, I remove the knife and I do the like pommel area, just because when it's glued to the handle you can't sand that. So it's very important that's perfect from the beginning. And I just want to say that I'm sorry for the bad camera angle sometimes. I'm still new to this whole recording my videos, so I'm doing my best. So you want it to look something like this. Now it's more of my favorite, hand sanding. I used hand sanding up to about 1000 grit just to get a really super smooth finish. And now it's time for the most scariest part of the whole knife making, gluing it up. I like using this 30-minute epoxy. It's perfect for gluing up handles. It gives you plenty of time to work with it, so you don't have to feel stressed in getting it done. But it still don't take like a day or two to dry, so it's the perfect thing for knife handles, if you ask me. After I get the glue on, I just take as many clamps as I have and I just clamp it as hard as possible. You can never put too many clamps on it. After that, it's back to the belt grinder just to get the final shape done. Take your time, no stress at all. Then when you feel like you have a good shape, you take it home and you sand it flat. Here is what I started to go wrong. I don't really know what happened, but my wood get discolored by the metal, I think. And if you have any tips how to stop that from happening, please comment below. I have honestly no clue what happens, but I'm here to learn as much as you are, so please comment below. After sanding it up to 600 grit, I take it and I plunge it into some just normal wood finishing oil. I would like to use some stain here, but I don't really have any stain, so I just use some normal oil. After some sharpening, it's done. And this is my knife. I would say this is the perfect steak knife. It's not too big, not too small, and it's a sharp knife. It doesn't have none of this like bread cutting steak knives. It still has a sharp, beautiful edge. It could be a lot better finished, but honestly, it's my like 4th or 5th knife, and I think it's perfect, just what I need for a good steak night. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much for watching.